Okay.
This is the July 10th, 2025 meeting of the Environmental Advisory Council. We have a few items on the agenda for today. So first order of business is to approve the minutes from the April meeting. All in favor of approving the minutes? Aye. Great, that's approved. Okay, the first main agenda item is an update on the efforts around gas powered leaf blowers for pet environment and the AGSA June workshop. I know Chad was working on that. Is that here today?
I went to the workshop. I can tell you about it.
Please,
if you want. Yeah. So Lee and I were there for part of the time. It was very interesting because I think like I had been thinking, oh, we need to do a lot of outreach. Like I was like, oh, I need to translate this, announcement of the event into Spanish and get the mom and pop guy, and I didn't actually like get around to doing that. But then when I got there, I was like, oh, I should go and at least interpret, for any Spanish speaker. And it turns out they actually had an interpreter there, who's like someone from Mount Cuba. She works at Mount Cuba and she happens to be bilingual. And so she was there. And her husband is like a mom and pop landscaper. And she was like, this equipment is way too expensive for any immigrant landscaper like at this point in time with no incentive, with no like significant incentives until the price is like way lower. She was like, and so most of the people who were there, like the only people who were there were people from large institutions, and the vast majority were actually employees of Laura Marion, where I think they were probably like on the payroll to go, like, so it was like part of their work day.
Right.
And then there was one guy who I got his number, and I think he'd definitely be worth talking to at some, like he's like a longtime employee at what's it called? Friel. And I think he just has like a person, out of the many, many employees they have, he was just like the one who wanted to come and like believed in it. But what he said is, I don't know, it was just, there was a lot of pushback there were also citizens there, like Nancy Winkler was there and a few other people who were like, yay, electric, like we want a clean town or whatever, But then, the people who worked for the township, many of them were like, I've used the township equipment, that's, the electric one, like the blowers, or I don't know, they distinguish between different machinery. And I think I took notes, but I don't have them handy. But it was like, they don't work as well. I keep having to recharge them, blah, blah, blah. And the guy from AGSA was like, well, look, I have worked with these companies that they've made it work. I think he was kind of like, where there's a will, there's definitely a way. And the employees were kind of like, well, it doesn't work, I mean, my sense was both that they were like, I'm going to get dinged for not doing a good job, and this machinery is inferior. And they didn't have like they weren't into it. Just like, I think that there may have been a few who like might have been, kind of interested, like a little bit. But it just was like, I was like, oh, it was fine that I didn't do the outreach because like it's just not there yet, in terms of.
Did so AGSA was presenting, what were they presenting to share with us?
Yeah, so I didn't actually see the whole presentation. I didn't really like, I was talking to, so there was in the field, there were representatives from like, I took photos. I think there were like maybe five, between 4 and 6 companies. Like, I don't know, maybe one was Kubota, they all had kind of similar stuff. I don't know about the quality, but similar, array. They had all the stuff that you could like try there and look at the batteries and everything. So, the reps were all there from, various places in the region. Like some of them had come from far away because they're mostly like farm machinery and whatever. And so they were there. There was a presentation that was like, I'm sure I didn't see the whole presentation, so Lee, I think he probably did, and we could get it. But, and it may be on their website, but it included something like, hey, it's less harmful to your health. And now we have these, electric ones and they work well. You just have to kind of manage it. Like you have to plan and be charging your one battery while you use the other battery and that kind of thing. So, maybe I even have some notes, but it was kind of like the guy was like, look, I get that there are many people in the industry, the lawn care or whatever, the landscaping industry who are skeptical, and we don't try to twist anyone's arm, but we're here to provide information and support. And we have companies and municipalities that have done it and it's working fine. So why don't you think about it? That was kind of their approach.
But there was a lot of skepticism too, to start with.
A lot, yeah. There was a lot of skepticism, yeah. And so
interesting because, whenever we talk to Jeff about this, he's been very enthusiastic.
I know, and I was like, wait, where's Jeff?
Worked really well,
I know, and it's hard to know whether it's like a bigger area or if these guys are kind of hostile to the idea of like.
Yeah, good question.
It's not the intensity too, is that you look at a lot of landscaping crews
Mhm.
and they move fast.
Yeah.
They're from job to job to job to job. So they need the peak performance from the machine to get done quicker. Since I lived right next to Spinelli's operation. His spot is now under Suarez. And in Philadelphia, he set up their contracts and everything else, and they have a really nice operation now that Bob is returning. But they may have some insights too, because they have a lot of clients out here and then in other areas. And they are all over Spanish speaking.
You mean the workers or the clients?
Workers.
The workers.
And I have no doubt some clients are as well,
Mhm.
and they have probably 20+ years experience and their team's always been together.
Mhm.
So.
Well, the guy whose name I have in my phone, who was like personally interested from Friel, he said, I mean, it was interesting because he said, he was just kind of explaining the distinctions. Like there's some areas where you have to be like really careful and around swimming pools and statuary and whatever, like small spaces or like prize gardens where you're mowing, you have to be very precise.
Mhm.
And he was like, that's where the electric stuff works really well. It's small, it's like less obtrusive, but for like acres, like huge acres and acres where you're just trying to, on your riding mower and you just, it's like humongous lawn. He thought it was like less, like that was like a later, kind of thing, like that would be, down the line. So one thing, I guess I do have do you want me to tell you my notes? I found them in my email.
If you want.
So the dealers will allow landscapers to try electric equipment out for a week at a time.
And sorry, so it was eggs. I keep saying this right. Eggs.
Mm-hmm.
There were like representatives of the equipment, the like dealers.
They're a nonprofit. I don't think that they have any direct.
But were there representatives from the people who made the electric equipment there?
Yeah. They were kind of, it was interesting actually, just the way they set it up. Maybe they would do it differently next time. They had those guys just out kind of waiting in the, the gazebo at Leadington Library where they have the concerts.
Yeah.
So they had them out there because they had all their stock there. They had all their stuff out. And so they were just kind of hanging out while there was a breakfast and then this presentation by AGSA inside. And then when the presentation was over, there was lunch outside and you could, play around with the equipment. So they didn't, there wasn't, that I saw, there wasn't like any direct connection at the event, or from what I could tell, like behind the scenes between the dealers from the companies and And NARSA, yeah. Yeah, I mean, what they said, what the guy was like, look, we have this data, we have return on investment info. It takes a little while, you know, like you,
Thanks.
the AXA guy, yeah. And AXA can give consultation and advice maybe for free. Um, but, um, yeah, yeah, okay, so I have the companies that were there, it's like Husqvarna, Makita, Milwaukee, Crest, Steel, STIHL.
It changed something.
Yeah, and they were saying that in Montgomery County, Maryland, there are rebates for some of these handheld electric, but not Montgomery County. And then yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean the landscapers who were there again were mostly employees of the township. They were skeptical that battery operated electric is better for the environment than gas. And the ex guy was like, yes, it is. You know, had the whole thing of like the anti-environmental stuff. It's like batteries are just as bad as and then that the costs are too high, concerned that the batteries don't last, you know, enough years to, you know, to kind of make the cost work. Um, one person in the audience said that they had a good experience with electric hedge trimmers and weed eaters, but that the blowers, their electric blowers are less powerful. And then, you know, they also mentioned like the big mowers, like for anyone, private company or an institute, town or on a, you know, whatever. Those big mowers are such a big investment. They don't turn, you know, like they need many more years of use before you would buy another one. They were also concerned that mechanics have a hard time dealing with the repairs on electric, like it's just not as widespread. I don't know. But yeah, so I think it was, you know, it was kind of that. It was a very skeptical crowd.
Yeah, sounds.
Yeah. But it was also like clearly there are people who have done the research. I mean, it's the kind of you need huge rebates to make the switch like that. You just need like so much more support than like just, you know, having it be available. I think.
Yeah, I'm curious about that because, so we talked about this, at a previous meeting, West Norriton Township has a buyback program, a rebate program.
They do. How do they afford that? What
For
do they?
homeowners, I don't know about larger
Okay.
operations.
Uh-huh.
Chad was trying to reach out to them, I have more information about it. But I do wonder how, I mean, now we're seeing larger and larger municipalities phase out gas powered blowers, switch to electric. And I'm sure they have encountered these questions.
Right, yeah.
You know,
It seemed to me like it wasn't, I was just like, okay, this, like, we need bigger guns, you know, in terms of selling them. You know, I think like, you know, for people who are like, you know, I think until you have a situation like if it's for an institution, you know, like the township, I don't know what the supervisors are saying. You know, if the guy comes back and says, I tried blowing the leaves, it took me twice as long. I don't know what happens, you know? Or, you know, yeah.
So maybe one thing that would be helpful to find out is from Jeff or from other places that have switched, municipal operations or otherwise, companies, private companies, that have switched to electric equipment. If we can find any actual information on like, does it take longer? You know, what is the maintenance cost? How long will it last? You know, it seems like there's skepticism for the people that were attending it, but maybe we need some data one way or the other.
Well, and I think AXA has the data,
Yeah,
but I think it's like a peer-to-peer
Yeah.
kind of thing.
yeah,
I looked up the West Norriton,
yeah.
and they'll give you $100.
It's geared for home.
It's only homeowners and you get $100 for any of these like each individual. So I mean, it's nice, but it's not
Yep,
like
yep.
gonna cover the cost. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, I'm sure, the group of Penn Environment will continue meeting and having discussions, and we'll check in with Chad. And meetings.
yeah.
See what they think the next steps are.
I mean, I mean, my thought at least was, um, like to start with the people, the individual people who are in the industry and are personally interested for whatever reason. So like this guy, I have to like find him in my contacts, but like the guy at Friel, Jeff in Narberth, and there may be like one or two kind of secret, like we interested people in, among all the grounds, staff for the township. But I think for now, until there's like, um, more money put in, I don't know, or something, you know what I mean? Like without some other structural change, that was my sense of like one of the good next steps is
But it's
just.
a risk for them. That they get this new equipment and it doesn't live up to expectation.
Yeah,
If you can't trade it back in,
right, yeah.
then if they're working on a slim margin.
And I don't know, I mean, honestly, like I feel like the people who are personally interested from within the company, like this guy seemed fairly high up. He wasn't the owner, I don't know, like the way he talked about it, I didn't know for sure what his role was, but
This is someone who had switched to electric. Or not.
he sometimes uses it.
He's
Yeah.
mix.
Yeah. Or Frio, like I think on very specific jobs, like where they need like a very kind of like tight corners and stuff. And maybe it's like the homeowner's home and they're like, oh, we know that they'll be pissed off if it's smelly and loud, then we'll use our little electric. Yeah. But I do, yeah, I mean, I think certainly sitting down, kind of doing like an interview and kind of really unpacking like what all goes on for those people, and then I think would be helpful.
Can it be like a peer-on-peer thing where you found some company X that parallels some of the other landscapers who are going to use equipment? We could say, here, let's talk about this. I can tell you what my experience is. Obviously, you're doing this, so yeah, that's the way I use my equipment too.
Yeah,
And then there's a more of a trust between them. You can't trade the equipment back in. Now they're like 10 different vendors. I use Makita.
mhm.
And it's good, but the batteries. You have to be timing your or
Well, and I think also like someone, I can't remember who was saying, it might have been the guy from Frail, where it's like, look, where are they getting their equipment? Are they going to Home Depot and buying like, the kind of residential version? Or are they getting them like the kind of industrial version from the dealer? We don't know, and people often don't distinguish between it. So that's like, or maybe it was the AXA guy who said that. Yeah,
I wonder if it's like Clarkson's Farm too, is that you have people that, that at the beginning of the season, they're all out and they could have all their equipment and then people are buying it at a discount.
mhm.
And then they'll get batteries, equipment's fine, but you're paying a percentage of what you would for a brand new system.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much of that comes.
Anyway, that was
Okay.
my report.
Thanks. All right, well, we'll check in with Chad and see what they think, and I'm sure, Chad's been attending the meetings with environment.
Okay.
And hear what the other municipalities think are next steps too.
Yeah, I was a little discouraged, but I wasn't like, oh, never, it was just like, okay, this is the process and here's what it looks like, Yeah.
Okay, no, that's good.
Thank you, Aaron. Next item is CCA and the Renewable Energy Task Force. So they're in the area.
Okay, so Dennis Rowan called me a couple days ago. And basically what he said is that the CCA, so um the, what do you call it? Like, now I can't remember what to call it, like a petition? Yeah, petition, call it a petition. Um, there was someone who advises the PUC, the Public Utility Commission, a couple months ago, who wrote do not, to the PUC, do not approve the CCA because we don't know if it's, chances are it won't help create, like spark the creation of new, new energy, new solar arrays, whatever. And also the utilities all like wrote letters against it. So then Baird, the lawyer for it, um, um, wrote, his response and whatever, and the PUC doesn't have, there's no legally binding deadline for them to respond. So it's just kind of stalled. And so I asked him, like, should we all pick up the phone and like call the PUC switchboard and say, I'm a Pennsylvanian and I want CCA? And he's like, no, not yet. It's not, that time hasn't come yet. But what he said was that like what they were trying to think about was to try to create a like a, I don't know, like the kind of institutional structure to start an opt-in kind of CCA light on our own, like each borough, kind of like a composting pilot, but like a pilot where people could opt in to a CCA and just work on that, try to get, people to do that until the PUC yields basically, or gives its answer. So, yeah, so, um, yeah, so I have more details about like what went into the letters from various like officials about the CCA that then is like on their desk right now to consider alongside Baird's rebuttal. But there's no date for vote. But in terms of like what they're kind of beginning to ask, and Dennis is going to write up something that like basically, encapsulates this, but he hasn't sent it to me yet. So he's calling it a multi-borough task force. He wanted to call it the Energy Cost Task Force. I think sometimes he's kind of wonky, it's like his job. So he's like, something that conveys that people are concerned both about cost and renewable energy, because that's one of the concerns of the people who, let's see, one was an administrative law judge who said, no, don't approve it because there's no guarantee they'll find a cheaper renewable energy price for the customers. And anyway, so basically kind of formalize a task force, find 2 or 3 informal or elected appointed leaders to kind of run it in each borough, and it could just be like the same people as usual, that will basically do public education focused on like the kind of context, like the challenge and the possibility of lower cost renewable energy through a CCA in the future, and also try to recruit people for an opt-in thing.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Do they think that we can get enough people across the boroughs who are interested
Mm-hmm.
to do an opt-in to make it possible?
He thought, I asked him that, he thought that they could.
Okay,
Yeah.
well then that seems worth it.
Yeah, I mean, the number he gave me, I think I wrote down 50 households per borough.
Oh, that could be.
I thought that that was my response. I was like, we can do that, like just among the people we know, yeah. And then, so that as a pilot, as a kind of homegrown pilot, then it could kind of basically disprove some of the statements that were made in the I don't, he said, don't, it's not like, nothing's been officially denied yet.
That's
It's
right.
just that the PUC, they were disappointed, everyone who was involved was disappointed that this administrative law judge and a person from the Public Utility Law Project both wrote like, oh, we don't think they're gonna be able to do this right. It seems too crazy. Um, yeah. So anyway, so that's what he said, 50, recruit 50 families. I was like, I think that seems plausible. He quoted like a percentage, like 5% of the households and businesses, like that could be the kind of goal to recruit. And
Oh.
yeah,
And does he think this is something we should start now while we're kind of in waiting mode at the PUC?
basically, yes. Although I was like, we can't really do anything
it.
until we have, well, we can't, we couldn't like call a meeting and talk to people about it or until we have like something written,
Right.
like it has to be a little more, formalized, but he said that the one other thing he said is that the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, the PADEP, was very excited about this idea of like, given that the opt-out version is like stalled for the moment, that doing an opt-in that they're, and like having these task force, like, low cost renewable energy task force or something a little more, better sounding. That they thought that that was really great to have that at the community level. And they told the Dennis and the other, his colleagues that they're gonna look for funding to help pay for like part-time staff to help, guide the task forces. Like basically pay Dennis, because they've all been volunteering their time, all associated. Yeah. So he said that like the next steps, once we have the kind of more formal thing from him and the other CCA for PA team people would be to propose an ordinance or pass an ordinance that says Marbury's will carry out a CCA pilot, like an opt-in pilot. That there would be like a 60-day education period.
Similar to the steps that.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
similar to the
oh,
steps for the CCA, yeah,
Oh,
not as elaborate because it's opt-in,
That's
yeah.
right. Okay.
And try to get as many formal and informal leaders who will kind of talk it up and discuss it. Have a monthly or bi-month, whatever, every 2 months meetings of the reps, representatives from the different boroughs. Share educational materials. That there would be like some educational sessions on like, there's just like some of the basics like electrifications, how you have renewable energy, some basics. And then there's like stuff that I just couldn't understand at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, we know from the beginning that opt-in is more challenging.
Yeah.
To promote widespread adoption, but if they think that we can, do something productive with 50 households per borough, that seems worth pursuing to me, because that seems like an achievable number at this time. Hard.
Yeah.
Right, there's no reason why not to go forward. A lot of things, projects that I'm working on right now are basically consolidating what's been accomplished in the last couple of years because of what's going.
Yeah.
Data
Yeah.
disappearing.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera. So it's a consolidation mode and then planning for a quick upstart when.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Get a push, but
yeah.
the rates are, what do we know about what our rates will be?
Oh, you mean with CCA
Yeah.
or, well, see, that's the thing, like, it's been so variable. They were kind of like, it really depends, like, the moment that we can say go, then we go around and look, but they've just been so up and down. I mean, I think that one of the other things that Dennis said was just like, I guess it's been like more and more publicized that the grid manager, PJM, has been raising the rates so that, and I can't remember, how does this
Between today, it was supposed to be between today and the 15th that JPM makes an announcement.
About raising
Yeah.
rates, yeah.
So it's.
Or PJM, whoops, wait, PJM,
PJ.
PJM,
Thank you.
So I think that, yeah, I think that, there's kind of a lot of uncertainty over that.
Yeah.
right,
But the retail rates for electric and gas are gonna fly.
Right.
Next year to 2 years. Because we're shipping. The LNG is going overseas, 35-40% of all that. And then electric, we're short because the renewables are being cut back. So there's like a 500 gigawatt shortage. So anything we can do that would be a pilot that might, be one of those things that you could say, look, we start with this rate, and people would be interested because it's a discount to let them see over, let's say, 6 months to a year.
That's
right, I mean, any collective thing should, they should be able to get it a little bit lower than an individual.
Yeah, this is probably lower than, but then
No.
I'm gonna get the administrative law judge and all that.
No, but that's right, at minimum, I would hope that this would be lower than what's the retail market.
Right.
I don't know that it will be equivalent to PECO's default rate, but that would be.
He thought, I don't know, Dennis
But it's possible.
thought, I don't know, I mean, I don't
There's a
know
lot
if he's
of-
just dreaming or what, but it's, every time we've like tried to be like, okay, at what point will we know what kind of rate we can get? They're like, it's just so up and down, like, I feel like at one point they were like, a few years ago, we could have said something with much more certainty, but the last
I think that's right.
yeah.
So, okay, I would say, what's worth pursuing, if, once we get the info from them about how they want to.
Yeah, so,
What this plan is.
okay, so just trying to think of, just so I can tell him, he's got so many great ideas, but in terms of like the kind of, okay, what has to happen first and then second and then third, like, I think what I would say to him then is, I think what he definitely wanted, like, us to start kind of thinking about particular people who could be potentially in a leadership role.
Elected officials.
Huh?
Elected.
Well, he said they don't have to be officials. It could be. He said it could be anybody. Yeah. Anyone who is like knowledgeable enough to, to be able to like, have a little conversation, so, and then I think he also was wanting us to kind of start like we have our NARBR 2050 list, but like to kind of start, we put together a list before. Is that for CCA? What was that for?
Don't remember.
Okay.
But it was also a while ago, so I don't know if it's up to date.
I don't think it was that long ago. I mean, I think it was in the last year, wasn't it? I don't know. Anyway, we have a list that has like well over 50. I mean, obviously, like we would need more than 50 to approach, but I think the goal would be to try to like, like be in a group. I guess write a memo, advocate or recommending an ordinance. But we'd have to get the language, the ordinance,
The first thing would be the language.
Yeah.
I think the key is, do we as a group think that 50 households seems like a feasible goal initially to try and find 50 households who would be interested.
5%.
Well,
5% is about 97.
Oh, okay,
1950 households.
That's right.
okay.
So 50 or 5% are not the same.
He said 50, you know what, there's nothing specific at the moment. I would say like since 50 is less, let's say 50 to 100, minimum 50, yeah.
The bigger boroughs, smaller boroughs.
Totally, no, I know, and I think at some point I was like, well, Narberth has 4,500 people, I don't know how many households that is, but
1953.
1953,
Yeah.
all right.
Let's start with I think 50 seems like a
Yeah.
doable.
Yeah.
Achievable.
Yeah, I was like between
Manage.
shifts
Yeah.
people and the people that we know of, the Civic
Well, there's probably
Association.
lots of people who have already switched
Switched,
renewable
right.
electricity on the retail market.
Yeah.
This would be an opportunity for them to save some money. So
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
imagine that many of them would be interested.
yeah. Right.
Okay, 50 seems like a decent, what do you say, manageable goal?
So I'll just report to him, I'll just say, dear Dennis, we are meeting as the EAC right now. Lots of interest, in the task force and an opt-in, in CCA. As soon as you send, a few paragraphs, I'll just for, what is it, like a model ordinance? Or,
Well, I give you two things.
yeah.
We will eventually have our ordinance,
Mm-hmm.
but we also need something give to the public now to gauge interest.
Yeah, to circulate, to find households that would want to sign up and to show our borough officials so we can draft.
One thing that would be very helpful
Yeah.
for them that we could use is if they could manage that database of people interested across all the boroughs, so that we're
Yeah.
not doing it independently.
Yeah, also could you, well, I mean, I think Jewel would do it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
you mean once people sign up?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh, yeah. So I'll,
Well, I guess even just to gauge interest, or maybe
Yeah,
we
just to gauge interest and then they fall off or they.
or we could do that ourselves. We should think, I guess we'll think about how best to do that.
could you let me know? Okay,
Maybe we can handle that ourselves. It's just,
yeah,
eventually we're gonna need to consolidate this information so we know how many people and who to reach out to.
yeah,
Okay, let's just start maybe with what they would consider a model ordinance and some text for outreach.
Okay.
Let's start with that.
okay. Okay,
And
and
just figure out the-
I feel like if I ask him for a model ordinance, it'll take him longer. But maybe not,
Would we like a brief, how about, I mean,
a few
if you
type,
give us a paragraph or two of what it look like that we can present to our elected officials.
okay, to show, yeah, okay, that sounds
To-
good, yeah.
to-
As we prepare to, recommend.
Yeah.
An ordinance. And then also, could you let me know, would Narberth need a minimum of 50 families or 1950, 1,900?
No, that's our total.
5%. Oh, wait.
So. like
5% of,
5% is 97,000.
okay, 97, okay,
That's a 15-year.
okay. Or 97.
Okay.
We have 19,
You want to hire.
households, so.
I don't know, I don't know, I'd be curious to know what they go with that number, so.
Okay, any other questions besides the paragraphs?
Timeframe.
Oh, okay, yeah. How soon would you hope to hold the first?
The 5%.
meeting?
No, 20.
Well,
I guess we have 4,000. I used to look at.
oh, there's all the households?
Yeah.
That sounds about right to me.
2.5.
40, yeah, 2.5 per household, it sounds about right, I think that's the last thing I saw.
Yeah.
Cause we have 4,500 people?
I think so. Is that right?
43,
Yeah,
44.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's about right.
So we're gaining population, so I was excited.
That we
Okay, all right, so I just sent that to Dennis.
Okay,
All right,
great, thank you. Well, okay, that sounds like at least something that we can hopefully do to move this forward. I really hope we can keep moving the whole CCA project.
yeah, I mean, he was basically like, this is how we can keep moving, given.
Yep.
Yeah, one other thing that Rob, you probably know a lot about this, but, it was interesting. It was just like a kind of for the context of like the IRA and like. Anyway, this guy came over from Orange Energy Solutions to scope out various things for like insulation, weatherization, heat pumps, whatever at our new house. And he's been working. I wonder, maybe maybe it would be helpful to talk to him at some point. I don't know really, but he was just saying that when Obama passed some provisions similar to the IRA after the 2008 financial crisis, he really staffed it up. Like it was really well staffed. And so they were able to like, they had the training programs for people to do the installation and the weatherization and they had it like fully staffed so that they could spend the money well. Whereas with the IRA, he said that there was like nothing. Like it was like the law passed, the money was there, but there was no like staff to get it out. And so just like in terms of the like being kind of geared up for like starting things up again. I don't know what that means at the municipal level, honestly. Like I can't quite imagine. But I thought it was really helpful to help understand. It wasn't just that like the political polarization, but also and like, we're like, no one's heard of the IRA. And part of it was just they didn't have like budgeted according to this one guy. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of programs ended up that way, there was a couple money that was there, and there was a choke point with rolling it out.
Yeah.
And it's like broadband.
Yeah.
It was all there, and then it just was a disaster.
You mean the Biden broadband thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of private training that's going on, and then, people going into the trades right now, they're focusing on, like I can say, ISO.
Yeah.
I was thinking electrical or HVAC.
Yeah.
Well, you can do anything because people are retiring left and right.
Mm-hmm.
But the unions are training. And
Okay.
also they're going to the community colleges and the trade schools.
Yeah.
And they're focusing on this because it's a big deal. And they see it as a few.
Are you talking about like weatherization or electrification?
Heat pumps.
Heat pumps. Okay.
It's a larger ticket item, but it's also a transition. And this has been in the pipeline for a number of years.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So I just don't see this slowing. I see it slowing down,
Yeah.
but then I see it. I'll go on the limit and say that you're not gonna stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll be looking overseas, like what happened.
Anything else on CCA? Okay, thanks, Miriam. Any other items to discuss?
Well, I guess now that we have the quorum, is there
Talk about
anything?
the bees.
Yeah, the bees.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. So, there, well, Miriam, do you want to tell us about, Chris?
Okay, yeah, so he's this guy who lives on Iona, who is a Unitarian minister and a new beekeeper, like for profit, like a small business owner. And he's been looking for neighbors to where to site the hives. And he is asking if the EAC would consider recommending some more specific and beekeeper and bee friendly guidelines, like in an ordinance, I guess, for Narberth, because he said right now there isn't really anything spelled out specifically. So this thing that I just emailed to everybody just now is a model ordinance.
Okay.
He said that the state of PA has pretty good, like it's very bee friendly and beekeeper friendly. And so one option would be to just say, like, we adopt the state of PA's guidelines. Like that could be pretty easy. But then, Joe and Brian were saying, let's invite him to do a little presentation at our next CAC meeting. So I just emailed him and asked him.
Does he have experience in small lots?
Yes, oh, he does, because
I was gonna
his,
say he's on Iona.
he's on Iona,
That seems small.
he's right next door to Sasha, our prior
Yeah.
EAC fellow member. And he had like a little kind of meet and greet with bees and honey and everything a couple weeks ago, and yeah, his lot is very small. Yeah, so he has, one set of hives, but
Well, there are a couple people up there that have chickens, so,
yeah,
it's one of those things where you say, we already have chickens, they make a lot of noise.
right.
And so bees are gonna be, might be fine. Is there any liability, Joe, next door, somebody is allergic to.
Right, no, and he actually had that issue with Sasha where like they cut down a tree and then he explained like the neighbor cut down a tree, the bees they lost their landmark. I forget what he called that, but it's like their, for their like regular routes.
Yeah.
So for the first time, they were like actually flying, their route changed to include like flight path right over the neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
And then they got a few stings and it turned out they were allergic. So it was like, but he has this agreement that I think like what do you call it? A sample property use agreement. I think there's no liability. Yeah.
Can I just throw something out there? We have this beautiful new 1 acre property. You had a problem with,
mm,
and it's like community gardening. It would be like community,
Probably depends on the
There's-
layout of space, right? Based on what you were saying.
up against.
well, what's
Well, I
that?
mean, up
It's
against
like a
the-
10 foot, like, we have a friend that's a bee person. too.
Oh, great.
Cause he said we go in our backyard, we have a small, what, 30 by 40.
This other friend of yours?
Mm,
Yeah, uh-huh.
Using like a 10 foot landing path long.
Freeze with.
Well,
I think that's a great.
So with this guy, so Chris, the Narby's owner, said from his perspective, because he's trying to make it commercially viable,
Yeah.
he was like, I don't want to go to the expense of siting a hive. If it doesn't, basically said the bees need to wake up first thing in the morning, they need that sun in order to produce like their maximum amount of honey. But if that's not your top priority and you don't need that, then they need a little sunshine, but yeah.
That's the beauty of that lot is that it gets.
It's open to yeah. I mean, there is that parks thing, like planning process.
Yes, and we could talk to them about it too. I think the first step would be to have him come here
Mhm.
and tell us more about how this all works.
Yeah.
But
Brian, is your friend, like local?
They're around here, they're not in Arbor, they're in the area.
Okay. So if there's some questions about like just the logistics of having bees, like maybe your friend could, like for the community, the park and stuff.
Yeah, he's all there.
Yeah.
okay,
It'll be interesting, is we're gonna be planning up that site with.
Yeah.
Moving species, species of pollen.
Oh, no, it would be great. Yeah. No, I think it would be great. I mean, I think you'd need to have a person who's knowledgeable and will like do it, kind of like the nice gardens, like you need like a nice,
yeah,
That's why aggregating
Play around
like
with
that
that.
might be a good idea, because they're.
I like him.
sure.
what did you just say,
A
Brian?
draft one that's,
Okay,
I like,
you like to do that? Okay, all right, well, there's this model ordinance.
I already copied it.
Okay, all right. Yay. I mean, I guess, so there's that for the ordinance. I guess I was wondering back to the question about the spraying, like with the public education stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything to do about that?
I think these issues are connected, right? 'Cause
Yes.
Part of the issue there is creating pollinator friendly landscapes.
Yep.
And so Parks and Rec is interested in this topic, probably also, we discussed it, you remember last summer, talking about insecticide spray in yards. So, I'm gonna talk more with Parks and Rec about what their interests are and if they want to do, community education with them, just along those lines. But I think that this is all, these are interconnected issues, I would say. So I can gauge their interest in this also, especially if it turns out that Grove Park would be a good site for one of these, maybe they would be interested in that as well, so.
Yeah, I think they can become collective, as a group that, it's like, adopt a road,
Yeah.
there's an adopt a hive where it's a
Mhm.
block or, a class in the school, something like that, because, and then the kids can coordinate it or parents or whomever, and then you have captains.
Right, I mean, I think,
That
yeah,
sounds nice, it'd have to be organized, but it sounds like people are.
I think they're, yeah,
Know better that, people that are gonna have a hive are focused on making it successful, so.
right, and I guess there's the kind of, like, to Brian's point, like, there's, this guy, Chris, like, he wants to, he's like maximizing his honey production.
Yeah.
But then there are a lot of people where they're like, not doing that, they wanna have the hive for whatever it can, do, like all the things it can do.
You could do fun things too, you could have, during the production of the honey, you could have a tasting because of the slate.
Oh, it's so,
Those kind of things.
it's so conducive to every,
Sort of unique,
yeah.
so, we're talking about, our EVs and having a story about how the harbor stands out amongst other communities.
Mhm.
But this is another kind of novel thing, and it's not. So, but none of the people don't have. What can you do that is more passive and less expensive, but accomplishes something good for the environment?
Yeah.
Good for the environment.
Yeah.
Get into it.
Bottom line.
Get into the whole plan.
Okay, great. Well, hopefully you can come to the next meeting and then.
Okay, yeah,
That's what
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I guess if there's any infographic, actually, one of my colleagues, if you, do you want to reach out to your colleague just in terms of the education stuff and see if she
Yes.
has? And I know, like, I mean, I feel like the pros always, often do it the best, but I'm now remembering my colleague was saying that she has this good infographic creation. It's kind of like Canva. Do you guys know Canva? Yeah. But it's like more specialized for infographics, and so it's kind of like even better for the novice to make snazzy, snazzy stuff. About this related to the spraying as well as to the bees.
Yes. Okay,
All right.
anything else? Do we have any members of the public on Zoom?
No.
Okay. Motion to adjourn? Yes, second. Okay.
All right, this meeting is adjourned.